Quality and dosage would be at standards which now in illegal drug use culture don't even exist. This would aid in minimizing overdoses and other hazards. A byproduct of legalization is that the illegal drug cartels would evaporate in a fortnight. And now this is because their success as a business requires that they bring in huge profits permitted by huge profit margins on the products. For example, a kilo of methamphetamine sells for somewhere $25,000 to $35,000, depending on the region, while the cartel is able to manufacture it for about 1/100th of that. However, when a single dosage of methamphetamine sells on the street for, say, $25, which cartel dealers charge, and the price drops down to less than $1, and that's a possible drugstore price, where do you think drug users are going to shop? The net effect is that the cartels simply go out of business. They cannot compete. The demise of the drug cartels means the Leviathan drug enforcement structure of police, prosecutors, courts, prisons, and parole at both federal and state levels can be reduced dramatically. Now that means public dollars are saved big time. One estimate of just such a plan by the Cato Institute, a very reputable think tank, 6 years ago was this study. They estimated a savings nationally of about $41.3 billion annually. That's billions each year. Now, a 2005 Harvard study, a Harvard economist rather, the study on just marijuana legalization alone estimated an annual savings of possibly $13.9 billion. Now that report, that Harvard economist report, should be taken seriously. It was signed by 300 or more very reputable economists, including 3 Nobel laureates. We're not talking about just off the cuff kind of a plan. These are some serious economic studies. Now, to these critics of legalization, regulation, who warn that the floodgates are going to be opened by such a plan, I say this: the floodgates are already open, and they have been for a long time, for decades. For every drug violator arrested and logged into the system, there are uncountable who are still out there, most of whom will never be caught. The drugs the critics are fearful of being on the streets and in their neighborhoods are already there. We just don't know specifically where and who has them, but they're already there. Now, some claim that if drugs are legalized, we will have many more drug users in our society, and our society will descend into chaos. Now, the notion that current non-drug users are suddenly going to start using and start taking the drugs because they're legalized is just nonsense. It did not happen with alcohol when prohibition was repealed, nor with drugs in countries which have liberal drug laws. Consider the situation in Portugal, which was noted earlier. There is solid evidence that users are not going to start numbering in vast increases. It isn't going to happen. Even in the Dutch, in the Netherlands, had success with a more enlightened approach. There's plenty of information on the internet. I would encourage those hearing me now to investigate this, to look at this. Now, some may ask, what does a candidate for Attorney General have to do with this? Now, true, this is a legislative and chief executive policy issue at heart. Law enforcement is to do what these decide. But generally, it's traditionally the Attorney General is the chief law enforcement officer in the state. However, in Utah, it's a little different. The Utah state government is established in the Utah state constitution, which designates the state attorney general as an independently elected officer, not one appointed by the governor, and therefore not merely serving at the will and pleasure of the governor. That's in the Utah Constitution, Article 7, Section 1. The state attorney general is also by statute given supervisory authority over district and county attorneys in the state. Now, this means that decisions about how best to enforce the laws of the state and how best to serve the interests of its citizens reside with the Attorney General. I know by experience that some drug cases, even the ones charged as felonies, have minimal impact on public safety. Crimes involving misuse of public funds and public office, banking, antitrust crimes, environmental crimes, health and safety crimes, constitutional violations and such. Now, these are often of much, much more importance to the public welfare than some low-level drug cases. Limited resources of enforcement means hard decisions must be made, and these resources allocated where they best serve the citizens of this state. The war on drugs has been a major factor in the increase of aggressiveness and militarism in police culture. The federal government has taken to itself frightening amounts of power facilitated by the paranoia propagandized into the public by hyperbolized and inflamed reports of the drug war. Yes, it is a dirty and vicious thing, this drug business, but seen in perspective, we should be more fearful of things that actually affect us, like tax increases, the cost of housing, groceries, the cost of college for our kids, and a host of other very real and properly scaled concerns. Thank you.